Well, hey. Hoping everyone is good. Hoping everyone is great. This is the first official episode of 2026 of Season Dialogue with Lisa Marie, and we will be coming to you every Wednesday, my babies. And this episode, is about attraction. We know what we want when we attract something. So we attract what we want, but we often forget the process of that. See, we attract those things. We pray for those things. We hope for those things. We put them out in the atmosphere. We say them out loud. We affirm these things to ourselves, but we get upset with what comes with obtaining it. And I really need us to sit right here for a moment, because most people don't struggle with the wanting, right? Because we visualize these things, we feel it in our spirit, but we struggle with what wanting requires. For instance, we say real loud and proud with our whole chest and our whole being that we want love, but we don't want the unlearning that comes before it. We also say that we want peace. We want what peace looks like, what peace feels like, just to have a moment of silence or continuous moments of silence, but we don't want to confront what's been disturbing it. We say we want financial stability, but we don't want to be honest about the habits that keep draining us and draining our pockets, my baby. We want the reward without respecting that it has some refinement that comes along with it. And to be honest, there is a process when it comes to attraction. And it's not this mystical way in which people make it sound. It's not just the vision boards and those prayers and hoping that life will tap you on the shoulder and say one day, here go your blessing. Here go what you are attracting. The honest answer is that attraction is work. And for anything to align, it's some loss that comes with it. It's some discomfort that's going to go along with it. And it's becoming somebody who can hold what you asking for. See, again, when you ask for that love and you ask for that peace and you ask for financial blessings, you got to also recognize that there are some changes that have to happen with you in order for you to receive it at the highest degree. And so we don't talk enough about that in our conversations. When we say that we're attracting something, what we're really saying is that we are stepping into a new season that is going to change us. And most people don't want the change. They don't want to improve themselves without interrupting themselves. And if I say again that I'm attracting financial stability, what I'm really saying is that my relationship with money has to be exposed. Y'all ain't ready for that one. Baby, y'all be door dashing and Uber eating very often. Y'all spend money on your wants and not your needs. You go on these shopping sprees. You'll put what's in your cart because you can go on a payment plan, but you don't really need it. You don't really need it. You just want it because you have impulse spending. You have emotional spending. You fear of not having enough, and your habits of overgiving and your patterns of underchanging. Stability ain't just going to show up for you. You got to start asking questions. And those questions are going to be very uncomfortable because stability doesn't coexist with your chaos. So something has to go. And if I say that I'm attracting the person that I desire, what I'm really saying is that my attachment wounds are about to come to the surface. The way I settle, the way I ignore the red flags because I don't want to start over, the way I confuse this intensity that I keep feeling in my system with intimacy, the way that I abandon myself just to keep someone else close. Y'all know somebody is breadcrumbing you, and baby, you will try to just define yourself by the rules that they have set, but really, all along, you are starving yourself. Y'all got to start asking yourselves the real question. Because love in its wholeness and its totality, love will never arrive just quietly. It will arrive and be a mirror to you. You will begin to start seeing some things that won't flatter you. It will reveal you. And if I'm saying that I want to attract the home that I desire, the occupation that I deserve, the life that I've been praying for, what I'm really agreeing to is a process of refinement. And it's going to challenge me. It's going to challenge my patience, my discipline, my faith, and also the trust that I have in myself. And this is where we often get frustrated because we pray for that growth, but we panic when things start falling apart. We pray for the elevation, but we get offended when we're asked to let a lot of things go. And to be honest, we're real bad at praying for clarity. But then we resist the truth when it shows up. We want clarity when it comes to, should I stay in this job? Should I take this job? Should I move? Should I move forward with this relationship? Should I move forward with this friendship? Should I move forward with, this idea that I have? And we pray for the clarity. When the clarity comes, when there are signs, we abandon it. Because guess what? It don't look like what we wanted it to look like. We don't believe it when we see it. Or it just scares the heck out of us. And so now we're trying to move different. But you pray for the clarity. So what you moving away from it from? See, these are the things we got to start asking ourselves, because we want this. We want this to show up. And as soon as it shows up, we're ready to make a detour. And see, attraction, baby, it ain't gentle at first. It is really, really honest. It removes what can't come with you. And that removal will always feel like a loss. But not everything that leaves is a punishment. I'm going to say that again. We need to hear this real loudly and boldly. Everything that leaves us is not a punishment. Some things leave us because they're completed their assignment in our lives. Ooh, I'm going to let y'all breathe on that one. And to be honest, some things leave because they were never meant to grow with you. Some things leave because they were only there to introduce you to a version of yourself that you no longer needed to be. But when you don't understand the process, you start grieving what was necessary to release. You start questioning your prayers. You start wondering if you asked for too much. You start thinking that something has gone wrong or you've done something wrong in your life. And let me tell you, nothing went wrong. Something is being made right. But see, we don't like to sit with that uncomfortableness. We like to sit and be complacent, because anything that makes us feel complacent makes us feel like we into the ordinary, right? Not the extraordinary, but the ordinary. And this is where we get stuck, because we want things easy, but we don't want to go through what's hard. And the truth is, and in all honesty, everything worth having requires a version of you that you haven't even met yet. And it's going to scare a lot of y'all. You don't get to the next level by staying in what's familiar. And you don't get it by moving away from everything that's incapable. I'm going to say that again. See, because the things that we mark as incapable, we are afraid to get to that height. You get it by becoming capable. And capability cannot be moved through your comfort. You got to think about this. Every time that you truly grown, something was uncomfortable at first. On a lighter example, you remember the first time that you learned how to ride a bicycle without the training wheels? You know how scary that was? Whether you were forced, by a parent, or you just because of your own self. You wanted to ride that bicycle without them training wheels. And the first time that you did it, it was scary because you were afraid to fall. But you also knew that that was a part of growing, that you wanted to be independent in the source, and you didn't want them training wheels to hold you up. And so you began to pedal, and there was a fear that you were going to lean to the right or the left, and you were going to be unbalanced. But the more and more you began to ride on that bicycle, the more you told yourself, I got to stay balanced. And even if I fall, guess what? I fell 2 times before, and I'm going to keep going because I want to learn how to ride this bicycle. You had to come out of a place of being uncomfortable. And guess what? The first time that you rode that bicycle and you were erect, baby, and you went, a little bit without falling, you knew that you had it. And that's how life is. You can't never get to a thing if you are always in fear. You can't be scared that you're going to move to the right or to the left and it's going to be a failure. You got to be able to be in the middle, to be neutral, to keep your balance so that you can move forward. And see, also, every time you've matured emotionally, you had to confront something that you were avoiding. And every time your standards change, you had to disappoint somebody who benefited from your lack of boundaries. And you had to be refined, and attraction would strip you of the habits that you are no longer being served to. It would challenge the narratives that you've been telling yourself, and it will disrupt routines that kept you feeling safe but stagnant. And that's why people say, I don't feel like myself anymore. And baby, to be honest, you ain't supposed to, because you are becoming someone new. And becoming someone new feels like grief before it feels like a bit of gratitude. And we don't talk enough about the in-between, the space after you have decided that you want more, but before more, you actually got to show up. And I'm going to be honest. As many of you know, that space can be very quiet. It can be isolating. It can be lonely. It can be confusing. Because outgrowing your old life has to really make you want to step into something fully in newness. And that in-between space is where most people turn back. And they mistake that discomfort for some kind of misalignment. You know, it don't feel aligned. All the blocks ain't stacking up. Everything ain't coming in perfectly the way that I want it to. And then you begin to turn back. And y'all know how that feels. You'll go back to an old relationship because at least that thing was familiar. You know they ins and they outs. It's toxic. Oh, it's toxic. It all get out. Y'all fussing, arguing, don't see eye to eye. But guess what? Because you know that person and it's familiar, you'll go back. You'll go back to old habits because they're predictable. Yep. You'll start spending that money based on your wants and not your needs because that's familiar to you. You'll go back to old versions of yourself because growth requires your courage. You'll stay in those friendship groups. Now, you know those friends ain't no good for you, but they familiar. And you are afraid to leave a friendship because you don't know what you look like. You don't know how you gonna show up. You don't even know how you gonna be able to handle it, or they're gonna be able to handle it when you gotta navigate in a different path. We all do this. And you know the thing about commitment, it requires you to stay the course even when it doesn't make sense yet. And baby, you can't attract better by just demanding it. You attract better by becoming disciplined enough to sustain it. And discipline doesn't feel exciting at all, baby. It gotta be repetitive. And with that repetition, it's gonna be boring. And it's also going to be very lonely at times. But discipline is what makes room for you to be at your highest self. And you can't ask for peace and you keep entertaining the mess and the chaos around you. And you can't ask for love when you keep avoiding your own accountability. Now, you know how you show up. You absolutely do. And many times you got to look in that mirror and just be honest with yourself and know that coming out of a toxic relationship, you still got some residue of toxicity in you. You can't beg for a love to show up when you ain't even worked on yourself. You also know that you got pits of anger, things that for most people seem minor, but they're major for you. And that's an issue in any kind of relationship that you have. That's when you're going to have to sit with the mirror, baby. And that's when you're going to have to change many of things that are within you. And some going to have to shift. And the shift will cost you something. And many times it'll cost you everything. It's going to cost you them people. Baby, it's going to cost you that comfort. It's going to cost you that time. And it's going to cost you the version of yourself that was surviving instead of thriving. And I'm going to tell you something. Survival cannot coexist with abundance. Survival cannot coexist with abundance. You don't attract what you want by clinging on to what you know. Baby, you got to learn something different. You attract it by releasing everything that continues to keep you small. And that release has to be personal. It can't be because of what somebody else told you that you need to do, baby. You know, one thing about doing things that's personal, that means that you put all of your energy and your intention in it. Because if somebody else asks you to do something, that's based on what they need, not what you require. So this release has to feel personal. And it sometimes it's going to feel like you rejecting a lot of yourself. And it's going to feel like disappointment on a lot of days and a lot of moments. And it's going to feel like delay. But I would dare to tell you, my baby, that delay is not denial. Delay is your protection, and it's also a projection of you that's going to walk through this and come out greater on the other side. And sometimes delay is giving you time to become someone who won't self-sabotage the very thing that you've been praying for. And here's another part that we do not like to admit. Some of us have lost blessings because we weren't ready to hold them yet. Yeah, remember that detour I was telling you about, how y'all like to detour something when it doesn't show up the way that you want it to? And so we often rush into relationships that we hadn't healed. We step into opportunities that we weren't disciplined enough to sustain. And we be asking for more without building the capacity to manage it. So the process, it slows you down. And it teaches you to restrain. It teaches you to be patient. And it teaches you discernment. And it's confidence. It's knowing when to say no. It's recognizing when something looks good but isn't good for you. It's the process that teaches you how to choose yourself without you feeling guilty. And baby, that's very uncomfortable for people who were taught to earn love through sacrifice. And I also tell you that attraction doesn't reward self-abandonment. It's going to reward alignment every single time. And in alignment, that means with your words, that means in your actions, your boundaries. That means aligning in every instance of how you got to show up as your new self. And you don't attract the life you want by saying that you're ready. It ain't that simple. You got to attract it by living in it as you are in your newfound self. You got to be cognizant about how you spend your time. You have to be aware about what you tolerate. You have to know what to walk away from. But you also have to refuse normalizing everything. Because this process is going to shape you. And every delay, every disappointment, every closed door, baby, is not to punish you. It is to prepare you. And nobody likes it hard. Nobody likes the process of having to go through things. We feel like we have to automatically get what's good. Because see, I put them prayers up. And now I must receive something good on the outside. But again, like I said before, this is a process. You don't get what you're supposed to get by just waving your hand and voila, it pops up. And many of y'all want to be this changed vessel. But you don't want to see the things that you are holding inside. The very things that you are holding yourself away from. So honestly, if you are in this place where you are feeling heavy, things around you are feeling heavy, where it feels like you're losing more than you are gaining, where it feels like life is asking more of you than it usually does. I want to tell you that it does not mean, listen to me, it doesn't mean that the attraction is not working. What it means is that you are being refined, and this is what you asked for. You are in that middle process. Again, it's not a voila. It's not, I need this and so it shows up. Baby, it's a painful process, and you got to be able and willing and wanting to be refined. And in this process of refinement, it ain't going to feel like a reward. It ain't going to have confetti. It ain't going to have balloons. It ain't going to have a crowd of people who are applauding you. You're going to be by yourself in this, and it's going to feel like some pressure. But pressure creates clarity. And it also shows you what matters. It shows you what you're willing to fight for. It shows you who you are when things aren't easy. And it also shows you who you are in those moments. And in that also, it will determine what stays in the long term. So, baby, I don't want you to rush the process. I don't want you to romanticize the outcome and resent the work it takes to get there. I need you to honor who you are becoming, because one day, my baby, you'll look back and realize that the hardest parts of this journey were the very things that made the blessing very sustainable. You didn't just attract what you wanted. You became someone who could keep it. And with that, that part, my baby, is worth respecting. If you have a gauging topic, something that you would like an answer to, I invite you to leave me a voicemail message in the call-in feature. You can navigate that by going to www.seasondialogue.com, going to the podcast, tapping on Season Dialogue, and as you scroll, you will see something that says, send a voice message to Lisa Marie. I invite you to ask a question. I invite you to share a situation that you're trying to navigate and need clarity in. When you use the record button, you are also giving me permission to utilize your voice as an opening in a future podcast episode. You do not have to leave your name, my baby, but you do have to have your email address submitted in order for me to receive it. And I hope that you impart on using that feature, because I want to hear from you. And you may have a question or a situation that could be congruent to someone else. Thank you so much, my babies, for being a part of today's episode. And I'll see you next Wednesday. All right, y'all take care.